Welcome to First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. I'm your host, James Gardner, certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, yoga instructor, human being. This platform, for the pros, by the pros, anybody in the performance space, and beyond. Welcome here to share in the stories of professionals, experiences, journeys, learning along the way. It's a platform to connect, to network, and to be a part of a community that cares, with conversations that matter, experiences that resonate, and generate ideas, thought-provoking, organic dialogue, passionate prose. Brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Mobility Tape, Epic, and Benchmark Athletics, in association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of it. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully don't turn this thing off too quickly. As always, just sort of off the cuff and a genuine thought process here as early commute into the training center today. Full day lined up with our great team and the resources and network of practitioners and humans that we have in our space, and some thoughts that I figured maybe just shake them out of my brain and throw them onto here, see what comes of it. So the idea being listening in and sort of having limited exposure to all the new technologies, clickbait, social media, AI coming into our space, and shifting gears to the true I, which is our own observation, using our eyes, utilizing the resources and networks that we have in our space, and maybe more than anything, the athlete themselves. Working with a number of athletes recently, utilizing video of their movement and pairing that with what they feel and what they see themselves doing through movement, whether that's rehab or training or a combination of both, or a mitigation strategy. Again, tapping back into what type of learner is this, and then undoing some of the biases that I have as a practitioner and stepping far enough away to say maybe the way that I'm delivering, maybe the way that I'm executing and or prescribing movement or therapy or modality X, whatever that might be, may not be resonating. So coming back around to utilizing our eyes and that observational skill has become apparent. This summer, over the past couple months, working with amateur athletes dealing with issues that are growth related or simply volume and residual related, or full-grown adults that are professional athletes and navigating when they get sore, how they get sore, if there actually is tissue damage and an injury. All of that delivery of information and all of that execution of a strategy and a plan makes the world a difference. Not to say that it's perfect, it's never perfect, but it is fluid, and it is a sense of trust in what we see. So trusting our eyes in what movement looks like, trusting our eyes in what movement may feel like for an athlete, watching facial expressions, watching how a hip moves, watching what an ankle's doing when you ask to have it stacked underneath a knee, trusting what our eyes see and applying the theory in a fluid manner to make the next move make sense for the athlete in the situation, I think is, has become critical and crucial on repeat. And so when we tie in intentional observation of and with our athletes and connect with what they are connecting with to make it resonate a little bit deeper, I think that's critical in the masses. And that may not sound, I don't know, maybe that doesn't even sound like anything. But at the same time, that's where value and trust and I think, long-lasting results that matter. And that doesn't mean you got it perfect, and it doesn't mean that we do it perfect or I do it perfect right out of the chute, but it does mean that there's dialogue there. It does mean that we're trusting in the process of seeing what we see, making adjustments, and then fluidly navigating a plan. And again, that can apply to a rehab for a specific injury, or that can apply to general movement. And I think, again, over the course of the summer, where in our space we take a deep dive in and we're with our athletes every day, what we see doesn't typically waver from the truth. When we see an athlete dragging, we need to be the modifiers. We need to be, as practitioners, the strength coaches, the therapists, the practitioners in the room, we have to modify stuff. And as we do that, we build a greater reservoir of trust, I think. But beyond trust, we also grow a greater reservoir of success. Because we see the human in the process. We are human in the process. And we're not abiding by a protocol prescribed because it is injury X. We have to do this, and then this, and then this. There's big gaps between injured and 100% and 100% optimal function. And rarely do humans have a day where they're 100% optimally functioning, especially in sport, where in our space it's the off season for hockey, and training and skating and preparing for something. There's a high volume of repetition. There's a high volume of intensity. There's a high volume of maybe some things that our athletes haven't done. And so, again, trusting our eyes as a tool versus an AI or a technology holds weight. And so I think just in this commute, and probably heard my blinker going off a couple times, changing lanes, and just sort of talking my thoughts out loud and stumbling over my own thoughts. But as a tool of value, our observation, our own eyes need to hold the weight of experience and then application. Again, science is science. Science has been created to prove certain things and then to disprove certain things. And so you have that as a backing or an understanding, but the fluidity and application, I think, is the win. And that comes from spending time with athletes, spending time with humans, spending time around other practitioners and coaches so that you can learn your own strengths and weaknesses, and you have a different perspective on repeat. You have the athlete's perspective and perception of what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're trying to achieve, how they're trying to achieve it. You have your own, and then you have other people who can feed into all of those observations to generate the best possible outcome for the athlete. Hey, why were you doing this today? Oh, because I saw that this was happening. That's a sound reason and a sound and reliable tool within a space. It's not, I had this list of exercises that I needed to get done today because they're at 2 weeks post hamstring tear, hamstring strain. It's what do you get today? What do you see today? What are you doing today? And then how are you adjusting as you go through not only the day, but within a bigger scale? So having, again, the backing of the science, then gaining experience through observation and through a network and resources of other people, and then also applying fluidity within a bigger plan. The plan has a general framework, but the day-to-day has to be fluid in order to have success day in, day out. Knowing that what you do today may have a positive outcome in the day, but definitely needs to have a positive outcome within the overall plan. So if it's a tough day, end up sore after, athlete's a little bit down, doesn't know where it's going, doesn't like where it's going, the positive that you pull out of that is you're having conversation about it, you're relying on their observations and their feedback to guide and generate. And then in our space, again, we're lucky enough to have the athletes and the humans that we work with on a daily basis, so we're right back at it tomorrow. It doesn't mean we're going to do the same thing. It doesn't mean it's not going to be a painful day. It just means that we get constant feedback and we're trusting in what our eyes are seeing, what our athletes are seeing and feeling, and utilizing all of that as, honestly, probably one of the biggest strategies to continue through the process, the bigger picture. So, I don't know, a ramble. I'll probably listen back to this before I post it, if I post it. But just some thoughts, early drive, early commute. We have some really big things coming up on the podcast itself with World Congress Dublin coming up in October. I am, again, super grateful to WFAT for being a part of that, and I will be in Dublin. We have a list of guests and speakers and some students and the hosts in Dublin coming on the show in the upcoming days leading up to World Congress. We'll be in the exhibitor hall. We'll be in a podcast, room while we're there, trying to feedback on or provide feedback, provide a bit of a pulse of what's going on at the World Congress in Dublin, and really looking forward to that. But this one was just to shake a few of the cobwebs out on my long commute. So I appreciate you sticking with me and listening in. Hopefully there's a couple tidbits there that aren't too redundant, and you can put them to use in your practice or reach out and have a conversation. Always open to connecting with therapists, practitioners, coaches, people that are interested in this realm, and having more dialogue moving forward. Try to grow the space, try to grow the network, try to grow the profession, all of those things through natural conversations and thought processes. So really looking forward to WFAT's World Congress coming up in Dublin in October. Stay tuned for our upcoming guests. I'll do my best to post, who's coming up and when they're coming up, and it should be a nice build up to a really great international event in Dublin with hundreds of great presenters, educators, thinkers, students, just humans in general. So I appreciate you being here, appreciate you listening for whatever component of the listening you did, and look forward to all the things coming up as well.
Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Check us out online, firststartherapy.com. That's FIRSTAR therapy.com. Or email us with feedback, consult@firststartherapy.com. CONSULT@firststartherapy.com. On Instagram @firststar.therapy, and our podcast host @letschat.at. This is First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast.